talking points. We are receiving Dr. Nick Nqwanyam, educationist. Thank you for joining us today, sir.
Well, thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
Right, before we talk about the increasing human right violation and abuse cases in the Republic of Cameroon, a quick reaction on bike riders who are at the center of urban disorder in the town of Douala. Where is the problem? Is it about education? Is it about the social structure or the poor social situation of Cameroonians today?
Well, if you just look at the bike riders as they are, you think they are the problem. They are not the problem. They are a result of a problem, and they are just a manifestation of something that is not right. And because if you're going to have people who have left universities and are riding motorcycles, that's a huge problem. If you're going to have thousands of your youths riding motorcycles to be able to build their lives and their homes, that's a problem. If you're going to have them struggling on very tiny roads and not being able to get a penny at the end of the day and have to be fighting with each other, that's a problem. So the problem is more than meets the eye, and just attacking the boys is really not the problem.
But just right behind you, on the screen behind you, we have live images of the Equinox roundabout here in Aqua, and you can see some of the bikers not respecting the street lights, not respecting anything.
That is actually, I'm usually very scared of them. And if you drive here in Douala, I would advise you to try as best as you can not to have a problem with a bike rider, because once you run into a problem with them, whether you are right or not, or whether you're on the right or not, that's not their problem. They come there like bees and they're done with you. So the best thing is to avoid them if you can.
The best thing is to avoid them if that is possible. All right, human right violations, human right abuses increasing in the country. Where is the problem?
The problem again, because when we look at problems, if I might say something, I've said before that we have a problem in the sense that we don't understand problems, we don't know how to solve problems, and we don't know how to create wealth. Most of our problems turn around those things. So when you see a rise in human rights abuses, you can't solve the problem there, and when we say human rights abuses and we just go, oh, you are looking at the military, you are looking at the police, and you are looking at the northwest, southwest in the north and so on, you're not looking at the whole picture. You're getting it all wrong. It's true that when you have established violence, in any community, the human rights abuses would rise. That's just but part of it. That's what violence is all about. And in violence,
that's the case in the northwest and southwest regions where we have the 4 years.
Yes, eye for eye, tooth for tooth, that kind of a behavior, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, ping pong, blame you, you blame me, I blame you, all that kind of thing, and the tension keeps rising. No, if you just keep blaming, oh, this one has abused, that one has abused, it doesn't make sense, because if you watch the video of what is coming out of even the amber camps, you see that they are also not easy. They are very, very violent in the way they treat people that they have kidnapped or whatever, people they accuse for one reason or the other. So the military is doing their own, the ambers are doing their own, then the civilians get caught. But if we just leave it as it is and stop talking about that and step out a little bit and try to understand the concept of human rights violation, then we realize that we are all guilty. Because to understand what human rights violations are all about, and to understand how we are going to solve the problem, we should realize that it has got to do with human behavior. And when you break natural law, you're going to run into problems. Let me explain. You see, I know you're a Christian, so God's laws are very clear. And He has given you the 10 commandments, and He says 2 of them are most important. Love God your Maker, and have no other one before Him. That's it. The second one, as important as the first, love your neighbor as you love yourself. That is the fundamental, and everything goes from there. And if you can retain that one, love your neighbor as you love yourself, then you can make this statement: do unto others as you want it done unto you. Un point, un trait. If I know that I'm going to punch you and it would hurt you and it's not a good thing and I would not like to be punched, then I shouldn't hurt you. If I know that I'm going to do whatever it is, either in the dark or in the light, that would hurt you.
And that love,
yes, that is the bottom line. Because if we go looking at what the UN has written as in their Charter for Human Rights and so on, we all get lost. And then once we keep that as the umbrella understanding, then we can look at some little nitty-gritties that are happening even in our homes and so on. They will realize that we are guilty. For instance,
that love, Doctor, which you're talking about, which is very fundamental,
yes,
seems to have melted out of many hearts and human feelings disappearing, because when we see what is happening, people who are maimed, people who are killed, children, harmless children killed, houses burnt down, we seem not to get it.
Yeah, we are not getting it. We are losing it. We are in a mess, a real mess. And if I just step back again and see, let me just show you how we are abusing the rights of others, even in our homes. You see, when you are in a house and you have your own children and you bring someone else's child to come and help you in the house, and this child is about the age of your own children, and your own children are watching television and you're making that other one do the cooking and the house chores and wash your clothes and so on, you are abusing that child.
And you're breeding violence.
Yes, yes. It is good to train your children. Oh, by the way, when you do that, you think you are helping your children, your own children. No. When you stop your own children from working, because work is part of the training, when you don't put your children to work and you have them watch television and you get the children of others to be doing the work, first, you are showing the children that there's this difference, and you are abusing that child that you have brought from the village, and you think you are helping your children. You are also abusing your children. You are a bad father. You are a bad mother. So you are supposed to look after all the children in your home as yours, and if you are going to subject them to anything that is right, just, and good, do so for all of them. It's very important. And then, you see, when we are talking of, let's even go stretch it out, women who have abortions. You are aborting because you think it's your right to kill the baby, but you didn't even think of the baby's right to survival. You see that? So there are a lot of things, and if we keep arguing about these things, we'll always get it wrong, because even when we go to America, that's supposed to be the chief respecter of human rights, we realize that even at the level of the government, many of them break the rules. Because if you go and look at the side of the Democrats, they say kill the babies, do this other ones, the rights for homosexuals and so on. Then you go on the side of the Republicans, they say no, respect babies and so on, and they have all these quarrels running amongst them. But even then, when the Democrats were in power, you see George Floyd was killed by a policeman. He had a knee on his neck and killed a man, and then the government said nothing. So at the end of the day, the whole world is traumatized. It's really very traumatized, and we don't know where to put our heads.
No, about what is considered by legal minds and civil society leaders as arbitrary arrest and detention of persons, journalists, right defenders, civil society leaders, political leaders, arrested and detained, some for very long periods of time, without trial, without judgment, often above the limited time prescribed by the law. Where is the problem here? Is it about the laws? Is it about the implementation? Is it about politics?
We have the best laws, but you need good people to implement the law, okay? Because the laws usually have very broad interpretations, and when someone wants to hurt you, he will always twist the law, just like pastors these days. You know, some thieving pastors, they pick a verse from the Bible and twist it around so that they can milk their Christians. So you can do anything with the law if you are smart enough. So that's what is happening. You have very intelligent crooks who are using the law to hurt the people, and everywhere. I say even pastors, they do it. So as long as the human being is not functioning with the mindset of love and respect, he would always abuse. And then what you will realize that in a country like ours, you know, people like, I keep saying this, technicians as a whole, don't have much respect. But when you are in commandement somehow, commandement, the law or whatever, law enforcement, one way or the other, you can easily cross that line and start abusing people because you think you have the yam and the knife. And if you are not well brought up, you really can push it to an extent where it takes people's lives.
And when people are picked up like that, today there were some civil society leaders here in Douala talking to the press, highlighting a series of cases of journalists, including people like Thomas Hauer, highlighting a series of civil society leaders, including about 4 from Stand Up for Cameroon, who have been in detention for several months today without any trial, without any justification. Is it a kind of deliberate intention to muzzle the people?
No, it's not deliberate. It's just that we've been going from fry pan to fire, and we seem to create more problems than we can handle them. So the cases keep piling one on top of the other, and I think it is in the light of what is going on that President Paul Biya is now thinking that there should be reconciliation and unity in the nation, and for this to happen, there's going to be an oncoming dialogue where the government will talk directly with Anglophones and not mix it with other things, and then you might have an opportunity for government to talk to the different tribes, the North, the Bamilikes, and so on, and we begin to build a better society. In fact, let's look forward to building a better society. When we say reconciliation, it means everything, correct everything that's not going on well, so that people can be happy in this nation, so that children can have jobs. Everybody's kind of like having problems, and when you're going to be in a nation where youth don't have jobs and they have no future and they can't say what's going to happen to them tomorrow, then there's always going to be violence, and the strong are always stealing from the weak and so on. So we have to recraft our nation. Once you recraft your nation and set it on the right footing so that you have good governance and everything, a lot of these things would pipe down.
You mentioned something very, very important there. Reconciliation. Right defenders will tell you this cannot happen without justice. And there are many people today who were victims of one incident of violation of human rights or the other, one incident of abuse of human rights by civilians or the other, but who are still expecting justice till today. Right from 2008, there are still many victims of the hunger protest who are still expecting justice today. There are still victims of the Ngabu massacre expecting justice today. There is still the principal of Mother Francisco International Bilingual College who is being detained till today. No clear information about his situation and some of his staff. There are still many cases like this.
Yeah, that's right. When you hear that word reconciliation, what it means is the end result of a process. So a lot of things will be happening so that because like you say, reconciliation is the final product. People will be reconciled and be happy. And when people are reconciled and happy, they can unite. So the question is, how do we get there? So all of these things will be done so that we can arrive there.
Justice should be done.
Of course, there's no way you can talk about reconciliation without truth and justice. I mean, having this Truth and Justice Committee or whatever it's called. I mean, there's going to be a lot that will be put together by specialists in that field so that we actually get out of this mess.
If you were to advise the authorities that be, the government authorities, the President of the Republic, on how to engage the process to get to this reconciliation, and there's so much needed peace and stability in the country.
The point about it is that you just have to have it done by the right people, and if the major national dialogue and many other things and commissions we've been having now have not been working, it's because we have a set of people who don't understand problems, who don't know how to solve problems, who don't know how to create wealth, who don't know how to do what has to be done, and therefore we see a problem that, like, when there was the major national dialogue, there was the Anglophone problem, and the major national dialogue was supposed to fix it, but it left the Anglophone problem and just skirted around it. No, we should be able to look at the problem and go for it straight on, head on, without fear or favor, in truth and in love. If you keep looking at problems and just going for them head on, in truth and in love, you will solve them. But if you keep doing this thing like this, especially with elites who tell so many lies, you'll never get it solved. Done.
truth and love.
Yeah, truth and love. That's
Truth
the bottom
and
line.
love.
Truth, love, respect, merit.
And love is the opposite of violence.
Yeah,
which
yeah.
means that guns should stop talking.
Yes, yes. Guns will stop talking as soon as you start respecting people, as soon as you start listening to people with the intention of understanding them and truly solving the problem, and having that empathy and saying, yes, I really understand where your shoe pinches. Let us try to see how we can solve it. The problem will be solved. It's the arrogance that's causing all this nonsense.
It is within this line of thought that the members of Stand Up for Cameroon, NGWANYAM, and other civil society organizations who have put themselves together to fight for human rights to be respected in Cameroon are now calling on civilians who are carrying guns and fighting in the northwest and southwest regions to drop their guns.
That's right. When the process for the reconciliation and unity is set in motion, many of them will be called to work.
Thanks, Dr. Nick, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Thanks, ladies and gentlemen, for your time. That will be it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinox Television. Serge Alonto is already on his seat, and Equinox Y is up next.